Time now to talk business with our partners, 2 Degrees. Garth Bray, Business Desk with me. Garth, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Ryan.
So Business Desk has been looking at productivity of some of our NZX-listed companies. What have you found?
Well, look, this is a sort of a methodology that big outfits like McKinsey use. We've had an economist take a look at it and say, yeah, you're on the right track. We didn't manage to get all 50 companies from the NZX top 50 because not all the data was there. But it's pretty interesting. It found about 11 out of 20 of them actually sort of went backwards when you accounted for inflation. So in real terms, the amount of extra value that their companies grew by sort of dropped even though they were adding people, which is kind of bizarre. And I guess if you look at sort of the big winners there, Synlait, Tower, the insurance company, and Mainfreight all scored pretty well. Synlait, over the 10 years with the data we looked at, managed to grow its extra value from adding extra workers by about 236%, which is pretty good. Bottom end of things, you've got Vector, who run most of the lines around Auckland as their main business. They were at the bottom. They actually became 50% less productive over that period. I mean, we'll get into, as the series continues on Business Desk, you know, how each company has done that and what they have to say about that. But this is just sort of the big picture that's looking at how much smarter really our firms are working if they hire more people and there's only like a really tiny gain, or in some cases a drop in the amount of value that that business creates from hiring more people.
Yeah, wouldn't it be more about the, you buying more machinery?
Yeah.
That means that things become more productive. I mean, I'm just thinking your lines companies spend a lot of time fixing up after cyclones lately, as opposed to, maybe...
Yeah, but I mean, that's all economic activity and so on, I suppose. It's just a question of how efficiently you're doing that, whether you are not just doing more with more people, but doing more than you would have if you'd had, say, half as many. It's, are you getting extra gains from having, greater than the extra numbers of people you're adding?
Look forward to seeing more on that. Now, we have basically finishing the sales job from Fonterra. They're heading around on the roadshow. Yeah. This is the mainland deal. I would have thought you just put up a slideshow with the massive 4.2 billion. You'll get 3. What's not to like?
What's not to like? Pretty much, that's a close approximation. But what we've seen drop today is the independent report from the Fonterra Shareholders Council. Now, that's the body that's there to sort of look after farmer shareholders' interests rather than the cooperatives, straight out interests, the corporate interest, that kind of thing. And they've had Northington Partners, who are pretty much, I think, the only outfit in the country that you can get to do an independent report of whatever your deal is. They've come back with a cautious tick that it's good value, basically, based on the price that they're getting for selling this to Lactalis, the French multinational, but also the ongoing supply agreements, which there's a lot to probably unpack around those, but just sort of the terms that they've got to continue supplying the milk. But it flags up a couple of risks, concentration risks, because as a result of this deal, the amount of money Fonterra makes from selling milk in China goes from about 28% of its overall earnings to about 34%. And it's saying China's, in its view, has got a slightly higher geopolitical risk from that trade. So we are putting more of our eggs or milk bottles or whatever you want to say into one market. Also, Fonterra's got the strategy of pursuing food service and ingredients, your high value protein powders and that kind of things. But
get your gains.
Get your gains. Well, it's saying, but those gains are commodity gains. It's more exposed to the commodity market as a result, so it's a bit more fluctuating. If you've got a brand, you tend to get brand loyalty, I think, is the presumption there. So there's just a wee bit more volatility in the mix. But overall, they're saying, look, pretty good deal. You should probably look at it.
But just so you know, here's some T's and C's, basically.
Here's some things so you can't come back at us and tell us we didn't tell you. Yeah.
Hey, very quickly, road cones. We know the tip line, you guys have got some numbers on. Yeah, what's happening?
Fired up in June. Big rush, about 600 complaints in the first month, and then tapering off now to about 50 in the last month. But it's cost about 100 grand so far. The WorkSafe people are saying that's out of existing budgets. They've got one person full-time and 3 people supporting that person, and they've had about 1,200 basically hot tips about too many road cones so far. Just over 1,000 of those, about 1,100 have been valid. 1,300 I should say, notifications. So pretty strong numbers, and in those cases they're going back to the councils or NZTA. Most of them are actually about Auckland Transport or NZTA, and saying, hey, look, you need to look at this. It looks like you've gone a bit beyond the kind of risk-based measures for how many you've got. You've got way too many. So I guess cautious look at sort of how well it's
interesting, Garth. There's so many road cones that I actually ran one over in my car, and it's caused $600 worth of damage to the bottom of my vehicle.
Wow.
Because it ripped off. I mean, it was 3 o'clock in the morning. I didn't really know what I'd done.
You are a hard worker. Are you driving late?
No,
Come on.
I was it could have been a person, could have been a road cone. I wasn't stopping, you know. Anyway, so it's actually rooted the bottom of the guard under my car.
Well, there's a lesson. There you go.
Well, what is the lesson? Get rid of the road cones.
Yeah, I don't know. Watch where you go.
Yeah, all that. Don't drive when tired. Garth, thank you. Garth Bray, Business Desk.